Now it is still lashing Catanduanes, southeastern Luzon, and the east coast of northeast Luzon. It's definitely going to see some impacts here. The rain right now is the big issue. It's a slow mover. I mean, look at some of these reports out of Samar. 400 millimeters in the last 24 hours. That's resulting in some very serious flooding and still that potential of landslides across this area as well. In fact, this is out of northern Samar. Now, this isn't really river flooding. This is more of a storm surge with this one. This next image actually is some river flooding from the Philippine Star, just kind of giving you an idea of what people are dealing with in this area. There also has been one death reported at this time. That actually was due to winds from this storm falling coconuts on somebody. Unfortunately, have seen casualties at this time. All right, winds are down just a little bit. It's not the Cat 5 monster it was maybe 48 hours ago, but it's still a monster nonetheless. Winds of 212, gusting to 259 kilometers per hour. As I mentioned, this was at one point the earliest storm with a pressure below 900 hectopascals. It has rose just a bit, up to 925 hectopascals, according to the Japan Meteorological Agency. Before I get into the track, and I'm just going to go over this really quick, thank you very much for everybody's been helping out on Patreon. James, Benz, Dave, and Chris, actually those super typhoons, they just joined in the last 48 hours. I can't thank you guys enough. Just a few dollars a month. Keep these videos going. Not to mention, we're trying to work on some new graphics. I've been showing this in every update because I'm kind of looking forward to getting these new graphics because it's going to help us make these videos that much better. All of this is really built on PowerPoint, and I'm taking from these open sources like Bagyo, who has been making some pretty good forecasts here the last few days. One little change in the forecast, they do have that wobble a little bit further towards the west than the last few outputs. And what this is showing me is that, yeah, this is going to wobble here a little west, but still some higher impacts likely off towards Cagayan, Isabela on the eastern slopes. I still think some funneling is going to take place up the Cagayan Valley with some pretty good winds, because despite the center line being well offshore, this area in yellow is indicating the extent of the tropical storm strength winds, and they extend well inland. Thus, we could be seeing things that winds high enough to knock down trees, knock out power, the released tin roofs, things like that. Definitely cause damage at the very least, and of course, high seas all across the islands here. So a signal force 2 has been issued by Pagasa for Catanduanes, eastern areas of the coast here, but also signal force 1. This is notable all the way up through northern portions of the Cagayan Valley, all across the Sierra Madre Mountains, and extending back here towards the south, but I think more notable off in this direction because, yeah, the east slope's probably going to see the heavier rainfall, but like I said, up the river there from Apari basically up, you're going to see gusty conditions being funneled by the valley itself as this pulls off towards the north. Here's a look at morphed microwave imagery. I know that sounds like a fancy word. It basically is a satellite looking down at our storm system, peering through those upper level clouds. It's almost a radar image, and it gives us a good idea of where the heaviest of the precipitation is, where the worst of the weather is. Now, when I'm talking about those winds that are sustained up and over 200 kilometers per hour, I'm talking about this band right here. And look how close it got to Catanduanes. It's like, you got a bullet shot at you here, and you heard the whistle go by. It's so close, but not the destructive type weather that could have been if this just meandered 50 kilometers west. Still a potent storm system, don't get me wrong, because some of these outer rain bands have been potent. And the big issue is look at northern Samar. This is over a course of 24 hours. Just one round after another, bringing that rainfall out there, and thus we had those reports, 200 millimeters plus, 300 millimeters plus, and still looking at more rain across Catanduanes over the next 3 days because of the slow movement of this, and then eventually along the northeastern seaboards of Isabela and Cagayan, maybe parts of Aurora as well. Up in the mountains, you're going to be looking at those totals, which could add up over 50 to 100 millimeters. I know a few people have been worried about the Magat Dam too. If we remember back in November, very serious flooding. Magat Dam's right about there, and they're not going to be getting a terrible amount of precipitation, but I know the releasing water, which on top of the rainfall, I don't know why they don't release the water ahead of time, but that's an engineering thing, not so much of a meteorological problem. Tuesday morning, here you go. Here's our storm system, the wind field. Let's watch this as it pulls away from Catanduanes here through your Tuesday morning. By Tuesday evening, the winds will start to first gradually improve, and then by late Tuesday evening, significantly improve once that gradient moves away. But along the east coast of Luzon, back towards north, still going to be looking at tropical storm strength winds. Occasional typhoon gusts possible, but predominantly tropical storm strength conditions. And don't forget, the winds will wrap around from the north and along the west. So even as far south as maybe Subic Bay, you're going to be looking at those breezy conditions on the western side of this as we go ahead through your Wednesday into Wednesday night. Santa Ana, Apari, all these areas along the northern coast of Cagayan. It is going to be a rough day here by Wednesday heading into Thursday morning. And eventually this does pull south of Okinawa Honto and the southern Japanese islands. A lot of gusty conditions coming in from the southeast with this. Definitely enough to maybe displace lawn furniture, but not enough to cause any significant damage as long as you're smart and you stay away from the coast. Don't want to be one of those people that go out and take photos of the waves or something like that out there. Main points out of rain bands, of course, are still impacting northeastern Luzon. It's going to see those high conditions and flooding rains, landslides, large waves. I didn't really change up the main points from my last update because there's not too much to change here. Key thing right now, still some serious flooding taking place out here, and don't let the storm catch you off guard. That's one of the big things I want to take away with this one, and I think it's been the theme since I started making these updates, and really we started talking about my first update on the storm was on April 5th. It's April 20th. 15 days we've been talking about it, and most of the time, we said we got to watch this, but as it got closer, the big thing was, despite the fact the center's staying offshore, the outer rain bands are still impacting here, and I'm always worried when the center line is not impacting directly, if anybody's just going to ignore the storm and just be like, all right, I'm good, I'm going to go fishing or something, and that's when we see unfortunate situations take place. Hopefully that doesn't happen this time. And I know, the Philippines, check my intro video if you're new to this channel. I know the Philippines are resilient to this stuff, and some of the hardiest people here for typhoons, most experienced for typhoons and tropical systems as well. But sometimes that experience will lead you into a lull of security and a false sense of security, I should say, which can put people in danger. Anyways, that's my rant. That's a little of my soapbox at the end of the video. If you watched all the way to this point, thank you very much. It helps with the algorithm. Please check out our Patreon if you want to. Just check it out. If you don't want to donate anything, it's okay. Somebody suggested putting a join button on this YouTube channel. I'm working on that as well. It's a fantastic idea. I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed already, because I'm going to keep on doing these updates as long as I can, as long as I got the money and I got the time. And you can follow me on all these social media platforms. Thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, stay safe out there.